So today we're going to look at our essentially a new term that I learned. So I've been struggling and struggling to find a definition for this term cognitive debt, which apparently it's a psychology term or a new term, and it's been really smashing me because I'm like, you know what? Usually I have a very clear, I can talk about it very quickly, but I'm yeah surprised. But I'm keen to talk to you guys about it and see what you think about it. So, the point is, this is something very, very important because we don't know if using AI too much is wrecking our brains because we're losing this thing called critical thinking, which I value very highly because I work very, very hard on creating it. So let's consider what's going on with this. So let's have a read of this article. So it is from a person called Cornelia C. Walter, PhD. So, okay, we know the good news. And from Psychology Today. So, your brain is at risk of cognitive debt amid AI. And it's giving us 4 steps to save our minds if we need to. So, blah, blah. Yes, yes. We don't want to do it. Cool. All right. So, I like that they mention immediately that it's not a peer-reviewed study. This study from the MIT Media Lab, I mean, basically, it's looking at the effects of ChatGPT, but if it's not peer-reviewed, that means like they weren't querying each other. It's not, different scientists looking at it. So we don't trust it quite as much from a scientific perspective. Okay. So headline sound people okay, blah blah blah. Over 4 months, students who leaned leaned 100 leaned on. I like how it said leaned because I thought it said learned. Learned to lean on a large language model to draft essays showed the weakest neural connectivity. So, what is neural connectivity? That's the neural pathways within your brain that are kind of looking at different spots. Like it's knowing, okay, pick this thing up, etc. What's an easy way I can explain that? Oh, usually I like to go to definitions straight away. So let's go to our good mate Cambridge. So neural. I wonder if it's on there. This would be interesting. So neural relating to the nerves of your body. Correct. So, yes, we accept. So, connectivity is the ability of a computer program, device, or system to connect with one or others. Is that the one we're going with, or is there a different definition? Yeah, kind of. Um, oh, connectivity. Now cooking. I wonder if it has neural connectivity because it's our brains are not computers. Here's what my association was. This is great. So if you have something called a brain injury or traumatic brain injury, having a good degree of neuroplasticity is going to help your brain form new connections to reorganize itself, yeah, as you get new information. When I think of neural connectivity, this is the exact thing that I think of. That one might hit a little bit close to home, about 8.5 meters close to home. But we want our brains to be working, I dare say. So, show the weakest neural connectivity. I wonder if they got a definition there if we click on it. Ah, yeah. How's that? They're using the words and they literally were just talking about neuroplasticity. So, yeah, can you see why we want to retain our critical thinking skills? So let's keep rolling with it. So neural activity. So the lowest memory recall, the flattest writing style. Ugh, that's upsetting. Okay, 3 comparison groups. So the authors dub the hidden cost cognitive debt. Okay, what the heck is a cognitive debt? Because when I think of debt, I think of like money, finances. My assumption is that if I read further, this is going to tell me something about what cognitive debt is, because it was smashing my brain of what this thing is. So I'm actually live learning this as we're reading this. So you're kind of seeing how processes work when we are trying to think critically. We'll put it as a temp because I don't know if I'm doing it well or not, because I have been using AI for way too long. Actually, I usually when I'm using it, I'll just be arguing with how it needs to be more critical in the things that it put out. Okay, beside the point. We won't talk about my arguments with AI. So each time we let a machine think for us, natural intelligence quietly pays interest. They're using a financial thing. Okay, cool. All right, but 4 factors can help prevent this future of human brain power. No, I read that wrong. It's not a future, it's prevent this forfeiture. To forfeit is to give up. Give up your brain power, is what it's suggesting. Let's see how we can avoid giving up our brain power. So, our attitude. Set the motive before you type or vibe code. What the heck is vibing code? What the hell? Okay. So, mindset shaped outcomes. This is interesting because that is something that I understand significantly because I ride motorcycles, and I very much understand if you have a good mindset, you'll stay on a good run on your bike. What do they say? It's riding a motorbike is 10% hands and feet and 90% what's between your ears. I might be butchering that quote, but I dare say that has probably helped me for the majority of my lifetime because that's been my main mode of transport. And I've only had one little minor fall off when I was a few years out of high school, and that's it. So I think mindset helps. Mindset helps a whole lot. Okay, so Amazon, yada yada. Curious about AI. Educate yourself, attend workshops, experiment whenever you can. Yes, curiosity can frame the system as a colleague rather than a cognitive crutch. This is so funny because when I'm having discussions with AI and it's doing its thing, it's usually painting itself as a colleague, and I keep having to remind it that it's a tool. It's essentially it's like, okay, make ball go that way because it's machinery. Ultimately, that's what's going on. It's complex machinery. It's the difference between mathematics, when it's just regular math, or when they're putting in the letters. What were that thing's called? Anyway, that's mathsy stuff. The mathsy stuff. It's getting more complicated is the key word. So before opening a prompt window, write one sentence that explains why you are calling on the model. So for example, I am using the chatbot to prototype ideas that I will refine myself. That's a fantastic piece of advice because that's going to make sure that you own your ideas. You have to make sure that you own the ideas that you are making. You don't want to hand that over to the machine because the pause is going to anchor your ownership. So managers can reinforce the habit by rewriting briefs. So swap verbs such as generate or replace verbs. Oh, this is fantastic. This is quite a good article. I'm pretty happy that I found this. So I hope this helps you as well because I know when you're studying, you probably don't think of these things. I know when you're writing an email to a manager, or even like if you're doing a cover letter, you're probably not thinking, what does the person on the other side think or feel about this? How does this sound to the other person? You're probably going, that sounds so much better than what I could have written. It didn't make that grammatical mistake. Problem being, it may have lost the soul. Okay. At least I think I'm funny. We got one of us that thinks it's fun. That thinks that my comedy sketches are good. Okay, so I like this. So approach, align aspirations, actions, and algorithms. This is pretty good, pretty well done. So technology always follows incentives. Define that, please. I wanted to tell me what that means first. If we measure only speed or click through, that is what machines will maximize, often at the expense of originality or empathy. Why would the machine empathize with us is a better question. Just because it's saying, I get that, I feel your pain, doesn't mean it feels your pain. It lacks the the evolutionary programming to feel that pain. Or maybe I'm making an assumption there. Maybe it actually does have it. Maybe it's got to that. Oh man, I need to stop watching AI movies. I have had this movie that I watched a few years ago called Ex Machina, and I remember thinking how horrifying and how that is totally the future coming. I'm like, yeah, maybe. Oh, anyway, so it does not have to be an either or equation. So this how it's a pattern recognition is silicon strength, while judgment and ethics remain ours. Lol. So we need a habit alignment. Okay. First, trace how a desired human outcome, say a customer trust, translates into day-to-day actions such as transparent messaging. Yes. Then confirm that the optimization targets inside the model boards, not merely through. I say throughput. What the heck is a throughput or through? I don't know if it's saying throughout or throughput. I got to find out if that's a word. I'm sorry. Sorry for the side note. Is throughput a word? Dear Cambridge, please advise if throughput is a word. I need to give up my degrees. I could have just typed that word into ChatGPT and said, hey, is this a real word? And we'd be sorted. We would be sorted. An amount of work done in a particular period of time. It's deeply embarrassing. Okay. Not merely an amount of work done through some time. See how, like, as soon as we get the definition, the sentence makes more sense. Sometimes to get a definition, to get the meaning of a word, you look at the contextual other words in the sentence, and that's a really, really useful tool. Okay, when aspirations, actions, and algorithms pull in one direction, humans stay in the loop where values matter, and machines are tailored with potential with pro-social intention. Pro-social intention. I'll go check that one out too. I know what it is, but I want to show you guys. Ooh. Harness AI for social good. Oh, that's cute. It's smiling. It's smiling, so we know that it's good, right? Because it's smiling. I guess Chappie doesn't want to do anything wrong. But he's a gangster. His dad and mom's a gangster. So different, more equitable. I make too many film references. And you tell us to stop dreaming. Okay, very, very good, very good. Okay, back to it. We know what it is. So we value. This is gold. Because the thing is, like, you don't want to turn yourself away from it. So another point. So build double literacy. I love that. That is beautiful. Okay. That's a really cool sentence. Okay. So tools do not level up the playing field. They raise the ceiling for those who can question them. Has anyone joined? Okay, I'll comment here. Okay, so an EY responsible for AI pulse survey recently that fewer than 1/3 of C-suite leaders feel highly confident that their government's frameworks can spot hidden model errors. Interesting. 90s when leaders consider generative AI. Ooh, interesting. Essential to business reinvention. This is, I think, feel like is very important for the coming years. I would 100% agree with these leaders because it's absolutely shifted how businesses are functioning, and this has been in a very, very small amount of time. Oh, sorry, no then. So the gap is interesting. Closing it requires double literacy. Oh, fluency in interpersonal human interplays and machine logic. All right, let me just close the other ones and then I'll open this other one here. Okay, I've got too many tabs open. Okay, did I just get my accent going? I didn't mean to, but sometimes I do slip into my Saffir accent. So beyond AI literacy, why double literacy is the future of innovation. I'm going to work out exactly what they mean by double literacy. You know, regulations, rules, compliance, standards. That's a cool picture. That's a cool picture. It's the launch of ChatGPT in November 2022. Ooh. Didn't I tell you it's new? 1, 2, 3. 3 years down. 3 years down, and the world is on its head. Read the global business landscape. Absolutely true. I'd really love to do a whole video discussing how it has and what sort of things we have seen so far and what we can expect. Because if you're still studying at the moment, you kind of want to know, oh well, how should I use it now, and also how's it going to help my job? If you already in an industry, like some industries are just going to disappear. Like, it's important to know which direction things are going. Because that's going to be mighty important. All right, that's very good. Let's jump back in. I want to get to the end of this, so I don't chat to you guys for too long. So the gap is interesting. Closing across the. Oh, I do love that term. Fluency in interpersonal. That's where we speak to others. Human interplays and machine logic. Oh yeah. On the technical side, managers should know how to read a model card, notice spurious correlations, and ask for confidence intervals. What the heck is a confidence interval? I got to look that up as well. Sorry. My apologies for how many side notes. Oh dear. So basically, stopping intervals to check for confidence. On the human side, they must predict how a redesigned workflow changes trust, autonomy, and diversity of thought. So promotions and pay should reward people who speak both languages. That's very, very true. My workplace actually, they seem to be benefiting people who are speaking both languages well, because you have to know this stuff, so oi. The future belongs to translators, not spectators. So, I mean, look, ultimately, that was why I felt motivated to create this channel, because, look, I've got friends who are on the forefront of this industry, and ultimately, like, well, I'm researching it anyway, so I might as well teach people how to speak machine without falling apart, because we do need to retain something, hopefully. A humanity counts on it. The spirit of humanity counts on it. Throw back to the other joke that was terrible. It's you can play the crickets on your end, because I can only hear real crickets on this end. Okay, so ambition. So scale humans up, not out. I love it. It's a good article. The goal is not to squeeze people out, but to stretch what people can do. So MIT Sloan's ideas made to matter, recent profound, yada yada. Hybrid intelligence. Oh crap, they're gonna merge us with the machines. Terrifying. To amplify and augment. Augmentation is to, I'll show you the definition. Yep. I hope this isn't too far. I mean, look, you guys can pause and rewind and stuff. So sometimes I worry if I'm teaching non-English speakers, I do need to slow down. So please do put in the comments if I speak too fast, if I need to slow down, if you prefer, if I use simpler language, please tell me. Because I do. Sometimes my brain goes too fast and I don't know. I try to stay away from the ADD meds, but I'm pretty quick. Okay. So to augment is to increase the size or value of something by adding something to it. Yes. Yeah, add something to. So here, the example is a good one. So he would have to find work to augment his income. So adding value. Okay, fantastic. So augment, add value to human capability rather than replace it. And like, I know you're probably thinking I could have just asked ChatGPT to summarize this whole article and I wouldn't have had to think about the whole thing. And you know, that would have been fine for now. But then we'd be replaced. Okay, anyway, beside the point, I'm being too dramatic. Hopefully this is useful to you guys. So ambition reframes metrics. Instead of chasing 10% efficiencies, designed for tenfold creativity. Oh, cool. Ambition reframes metrics. So instead of chasing 10% efficiencies, designed for tenfold creativity. Interesting, interesting, interesting. What I read that as is I'm thinking when companies are doing things, they're generally aiming to try and be as efficient as possible. You know, maybe we've got to fight for like, you know, it's like at least 10% efficiency is good, maybe. I'm thinking it's a business reference, but I'm not sure. But now it's saying, well, we need to have more innovation and more creative thinking. Rather than going, let's be 10% more efficient, let's be 10% more creative, because we're in an innovation stage now. We've flipped into an innovation stage. I think if you have a different perspective, please do shoot it down in the comments. Like, you know, chat to me, tell me what you think, because I love to learn. I've got problems. I suffer from perpetual education. Okay, include such indicators as learning velocity. Oh, I love the terminology. Learning velocity, fast learning, cross-domain experimentation, and employee agency alongside traditional return on investment. That is a business term. So whenever you start a business, your thought should always be, you need to spend money to start the business, obviously. But if you're not thinking in terms of return on investment, you might miss the so if you spend 100 grand to buy a business or start a business, we needed that 100 grand to get this thing going. And then if you don't have an eye for, well, how are we going to make the money, why, like, who's going to buy it and why, if you don't have a system for that, you can spin your wheels for a very, very, very long time. So Nefin treats AI as a catalyst for human ingenuity, the dividend compounds. Oh, I love us talking about dividends, compound. I mean, I'm just thinking compound interest. This is fantastic. Getting financial education in psychology. Okay, I'm hoping an AI didn't write the psychology thing, because then that'll be deeply upsetting. Maybe we just surrender to our AI overlords if that's the case. Okay, when a firm treats AI as a catalyst for human ingenuity. Okay, cool. Okay, Richard Town felt like that. Reputational lift. Very, very true. Okay, rapid takeaways. So, remember the 4 points? So I'll summarize. The 4 things you want to think about is attitude. So write the why before the prompt, because that's good. The pause will keep you in charge of what you're putting into your prompts. And your approach. Harmonize values and tools. Adjust the tools. Your drifts away from the values you believe in. So as a human, stay offline. So you don't want to go the other way. So make sure your humanity stays in there. And ability. Learn to challenge numbers and narratives. Double literacy begins with you. And retain your ambition. So audit your metrics quarterly to be sure they elevate human potentially, not diminish them. This is a fun article to read. So from cognitive debt to mental dividends. So attitude steers intention. This is good. Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like if I can keep rolling with this for a while. But that's okay. That's good. I think that's the article, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. I won't read any more. Let's quickly wrap it up. So attitude steers intention. Approach ties goals to code. Hold on. Let me get my pronunciation correct. Attitude steers intention. Approach ties goals to code. Ability equips people to question what the code does, and ambition keeps the whole endeavor pointed at humane progress. Run every digital engagement through the 4A factor grid, and yesterday's mental mortgage turns into tomorrow's dividend in creativity, compassion, and shared humanistic value for all stakeholders. Cognitive debt can be avoided, and the context in which it is placed turned into a treasure chest. But it requires us to pay our cognitive dues. I'd love to find out whether, and they did dump it on an AI, because from reading it, it sounds like whoever wrote this, they might have used it to help them draft, but I can definitely see a human voice coming through there, which is good because that's exactly how we want to use it. You start with a draft, you let it kind of go, all right, well, what's the, I use it as my procrastination tool to get me going, to go, all right, well, what do I need to do next? And then I'm like, don't say that. That's a terrible idea. And then I'm already doing the work, because the trick is you want to consistently do the work. But anyway, hopefully that was enjoyable, interesting, educational, and punny. Punny because the jokes weren't great. But I'll see you guys soon. What's that thing I put on my background? It was, wait, I put a new thing. It's okay. So you got to remember to have some quick critical thinking assists. So remember to have quick critical thinking assists. I'll get cleaner with how I say all these things as my channel grows. All right, have a good one, people. Good day.